In 1918, a ship vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that endures to this day. The USS Cyclops was more than just a naval vessel. It was a lifeline, transporting vital coal to power American fleets. But in March 1918, while sailing through calm waters in the Atlantic, the ship simply disappeared. No wreckage, no distress call, nothing. How could a ship this large, filled with crew and cargo, just vanish completely? In this video, we're diving deep into the full story of the USS Cyclops. We'll explore the ship's origins, her missions, the people aboard, and the strange circumstances of her disappearance. We'll also examine the theories, plausible and far-fetched, about what could have happened to this colossal ship. Was it a structural failure, a storm, enemy attack, or something far stranger? This is the story of the USS Cyclops, a ship that sailed into history, only to disappear into legend. Welcome to Shipwreck History. The Cyclops story unfolds against the turbulent backdrop of World War I, a conflict that radically changed the nature of warfare and maritime logistics. By 1918, the U.S. had joined the war effort, shifting its naval focus toward transporting troops, fuel, and supplies across the Atlantic. With coal powering nearly every warship and industrial machine, demand for ships like the Cyclops skyrocketed. The U.S. Navy was in a period of rapid expansion, driven by the need to keep up with European naval powers. Logistics became essential, as maintaining supply lines across the Atlantic was critical for elite operations. Every cargo ship and collier played a vital role, not just in feeding the war machine, but also in ensuring military mobility and readiness. The disappearance of a ship like the Cyclops was a significant loss, both strategically and symbolically. The USS Cyclops was constructed by William Cramp and Sons in Philadelphia and launched in 1910. It was designed specifically to transport coal for the U.S. Navy, a crucial role during an era when steam-powered ships depended heavily on coal to function. At over 540 feet in length and with a beam of 65 feet, the Cyclops could carry around 12,000 tons of coal or other cargo, making it one of the largest vessels in its class. It was powered by a single triple expansion steam engine, which drove a lone propeller, giving it a top speed of about 15 knots. The ship's design prioritized cargo capacity over maneuverability, making it somewhat cumbersome to operate. Additionally, the Cyclops had a steel frame with large open cargo holds to store coal. While practical for transport, these open spaces could pose a stability risk, especially in heavy seas if the cargo shifted. Despite these potential vulnerabilities, the ship was considered well-suited for logistical support, and its size and cargo capacity earned it a solid reputation early on. In the early years of its service, the Cyclops operated primarily along the east coast of the United States and the Caribbean, ensuring that both military and civilian vessels had access to the coal they needed. Although built for commercial service, the Cyclops was acquired by the U.S. Navy to meet the increasing demand for coal transport in the years leading up to World War I. When the war broke out in 1914, the ship was officially commissioned into naval service, becoming part of the auxiliary division of the U.S. Atlantic Fleet. By 1917, with the United States entering World War I, the Cyclops took on a more active role. It was tasked with transporting coal to various U.S. military bases and on some missions, carrying supplies and troops. The ship operated along the East Coast, supplying fuel to U.S. bases and fleets, including critical missions to the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Its routes covered strategic locations where coal reserves were limited, ensuring that naval vessels could continue operating without interruption. The commissioning of the Cyclops marked its transformation from a commercial coal ship to a military asset. Despite its usefulness, the Cyclops encountered several operational challenges throughout its service, and developed a mixed reputation among naval personnel. The ship's design made it somewhat underpowered for its size. This left it vulnerable in strong currents and rough seas. In addition, the open cargo holds designed for coal created instability, especially when the cargo was not evenly distributed or if ballast adjustments were insufficient. Over its years of service, crew members reported occasional mechanical difficulties, including engine malfunctions, though these were not uncommon for steamships of the time. Weather also posed a significant hazard during some voyages. The ship had to navigate through hurricanes and tropical storms that frequently swept across the Caribbean, putting additional strain on its already top-heavy frame. Despite these challenges, the Cyclops managed to avoid serious accidents for much of its early life. But the problems on the Cyclops didn't end with the ship itself. Captain George Worley, originally born Johann Friedrich Wichmann in Germany, remains one of the most controversial figures associated with the USS Cyclops. Known for his abrasive and sometimes erratic demeanor, Worley often berated his crew and ruled with a strict, heavy hand, which caused deep resentment and tension among those who served under him. Both his name change upon immigrating to the U.S. and his German heritage raised suspicions during World War I, especially as the U.S. was at war with Germany. This background, combined with his behavior, lets him to speculate about his loyalty and even his fitness to lead, adding an unsettling layer to the Cyclops story. Crew members reported that Worley's erratic outbursts and harsh punishments left morale strained, prompting theories that these tensions may have contributed to the mystery surrounding the ship's disappearance. Worley's reputation was so troubled that it spurred rumors of possible mutiny, although no direct evidence has ever surfaced. His controversial nature has fueled speculation for decades, positioning him as one of the most enigmatic figures connected to the Cyclops. In mid-February of 1918, the USS Cyclops embarked on what would become its final voyage. It departed Rio de Janeiro, carrying over 10,000 tons of manganese ore, a heavier load than usual intended for steel production vital to the war effort. Due to potential engine issues and overloading, the ship made an unscheduled stop in Barbados several days into the trip. An investigation of the records from Rio proved that the ship was packed correctly, but that one of the engines had a cracked cylinder. It would continue on anyway. The Cyclops then departed Barbados in early March, en route to its destination, Baltimore, Maryland. The ship had a total of 309 people aboard, including crew members, officers, and passengers. Though initially uneventful, the final leg of the journey took a mysterious turn. At some point between March 4th and March 13th, 1918, the ship disappeared without a trace. The last known communication from the Cyclops was an unremarkable message that indicated everything was proceeding as planned. No reports of trouble, distress, or technical issues were relayed from the crew. It was last reported passing through the area now infamously known as the Bermuda Triangle, a fact that would fuel speculation for decades to come. There were several peculiar elements about the Cyclops' disappearance. The ship was well within the range of communication with multiple ports along the East Coast, yet no distress calls were ever received. This was highly unusual, as vessels experiencing mechanical failure or bad weather were expected to maintain regular contact with nearby stations. After the USS Cyclops failed to reach its destination, one of the largest search efforts in U.S. naval history was launched. The Navy scoured the ship's planned route between Barbados and Norfolk, Virginia, with both air and sea patrols combing thousands of square miles. Other ships passing through the same waters were alerted to watch for signs of debris or survivors. Despite these efforts, no wreckage, cargo, life rafts, or bodies were ever found. Multiple theories have emerged over the years to explain the ship's disappearance. One widely considered theory is that the USS Cyclops may have suffered a catastrophic mechanical failure. The ship was carrying over 10,000 tons of manganese ore, a cargo load far heavier than usual. Experts have speculated that the load may have shifted unexpectedly during the voyage, throwing the vessel off balance. Some records also indicate that the ship may have been overloaded, possibly causing structural strain. Additionally, one of the Cyclops engines was reported to be experiencing trouble before the ship left Rio de Janeiro. A sudden engine failure or compromised hull could have made the ship vulnerable to capsizing. During the ship's final days at sea, reports mentioned potential rough weather along the route. Storms in the Atlantic can be unpredictable, generating massive swells that could overwhelm even the largest vessels. If the Cyclops had already been struggling with mechanical issues or shifting cargo, a storm may have sealed its fate. However, no concrete evidence of such conditions exist from the ship's last recorded location. Another possibility is that human error played a role in the ship's demise. Navigational challenges in the Atlantic, combined with poor visibility or high seas, could have led to a fatal mistake. Inexperienced crew members or mishandling of cargo could also have contributed to the disaster. Still, the lack of any distress calls makes it difficult to confirm if human error was a decisive factor. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops is often linked to the Bermuda Triangle, an area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico that is notorious for mysterious vanishings. While skeptics dismiss the Bermuda Triangle as a myth, the Cyclops' unexplained disappearance has become one of the legends associated with the region. Some conspiracy theories suggest that unknown forces, such as magnetic anomalies or underwater currents, may have caused navigational instruments to fail. However, maritime historians generally consider these theories to be unscientific and just speculation. Given that the Cyclops vanished during World War I, some have suggested that the ship could have been targeted by a German U-boat, as they were active along the Atlantic coast during the war. Cargo ships like the Cyclops were considered strategic targets. However, there is no documented evidence of a U-boat attack in the area where the ship was last reported. Moreover, Germany denied any involvement, and no wreckage has been found to support this theory. On March 9, 1918, a vessel reportedly sighted the USS Cyclops near Virginia. This sighting initially seemed to offer a crucial clue to the ship's last known location. Upon investigation, the sighting was determined to be inaccurate. Evidence gathered later revealed inconsistencies with the timing and position of both vessels, ultimately debunking the sighting. This false report only added to the confusion and deepened the mystery, as no credible sightings of the Cyclops surfaced after its last confirmed communication from Barbados on March 4. Despite extensive investigations, the disappearance of the USS Cyclops remains one of the most puzzling maritime mysteries in American history. Each theory holds some merit, but the lack of evidence leaves every possibility shrouded in uncertainty. Even today, it remains the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history unrelated to combat, with 309 souls aboard disappearing without a trace. While the Cyclops may not be as famous as wartime shipwrecks or other maritime tragedies, it occupies a significant place in the history of unexplained maritime disasters. There are memorials to the lost crew at Arlington National Cemetery, ensuring that their story is not entirely forgotten. The lack of closure and the countless theories of what happened, from mechanical failures to supernatural explanations, have kept public fascination alive for over a century. While skeptics argue that the mystery can be explained through practical means, the Cyclops continues to fuel curiosity and wonder. It serves as a reminder of how the vastness and unpredictability of the ocean can still evade human understanding. Let us know in the comments what you think happened to the Cyclops. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like and share, and subscribe to our channel for all things shipwrecks. Until next time, keep exploring.